I deduce that you're going to be able to figure out exactly who we're talking about tonight on this episode of Drunken Book Reviews. Yep. I am confident in the fact that you are all smart enough to know I'm Sherlock Holmes tonight. And we are going to be talking about one of the spookier stories, Hound of the Baskervilles. So, on tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about exactly why that story in particular, when I read it in middle school, had me completely hooked for the rest of my life on Sherlock Holmes and mysteries in general. So, we open at 221B Baker Street in central London. Let's see. Holmes and Watson come home to find a cane, a mysterious cane, in their residence. And then they have to, of course, deduce. By they, I mean, obviously Sherlock has to deduce where it came from. And it's, of course, just another show-off example of Sherlock and how much he knows and how silly he likes to make poor Dr. Watson feel as they both examine the same piece of evidence, and Sherlock's able to figure out exactly that it is from a doctor. And all the different things that are like ailing him before the doctor comes back, Dr. Mortimer comes back and tells them of a tale involving the Baskervilles and a mysterious hound that has been cursing them, this curse that has been beset upon them since way back when. Started a long time ago with Hugo Baskerville, who was seriously not a nice guy. But it killed him, and then it killed Charles, poor Charles. And that's really why this whole story has come about, because his descendant Henry has come into the property now, of course, because Charles is gone. And they're trying to figure out, like, what is this curse? Is it real? Is this a hound? Like, what's going on? Like, so, like, they need Sherlock Holmes to come and investigate. And, of course, you know, he's like, oh, no, like, I can't come. I'm just going to send Watson. And Watson's like, you're what? Like, what are you doing? You're not coming? And he's like, you know, it's like a 7 out of 10 for me. So you go on. I've got other things to take care of. And so he does, you know, they take the train ride and they go out to the country, and you learn about this story, right, of like what happened to Charles and Hugo and like all the crazy things. So like Hugo, like I said, not a nice guy, super crazy. He had kidnapped this girl, and she escaped, and so then he made a deal with the devil, which turns out to be like the hounds, whatever, and so there's that. And then like he has his throat ripped out, which is pretty scary, right? By a beast. How does he say it? Release the hounds. Like, you've all heard that, right? And maybe you didn't know where it came from, but it was Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah. So release the hounds. It's a foul thing. A great black beast, sort of glowing. Like, you know, there's all these stories, right? So, Dr. Watson goes, And he's like in this house and there's all these pictures and it's crazy and they're trying to like figure out what's happening, and he's like interviewing like the housekeepers and you know, like hanging out with Henry, trying to figure, you know, like, is this like a real thing, like what's going on, right? And you know, there's a lot of talk of all the different portraits and the eyes that are watching you as you walk. And so anyway, he tries to go to sleep and like realizes like he hears people up, like what's going on, like it's all this like sneak attack thing, right? He goes and he looks out the window and he sees like Morse code candle flashing. And so he thinks like, you know, this has something to do with like the whole Hound thing, right? And he's writing letters to Sherlock and having his missive sent back to London because he seriously thinks that, you know, Sherlock doesn't have any idea what's going on. And all these crazy things are happening. He's hearing crying, and like he meets all these people that live like on the moor. There's the Stapletons and this old dude who wants to like seriously sue everybody, and like Victorian era, like suing people. Yeah, that's pretty deep. So, yeah, there's the Great Grimpen Mire, and like everybody's animals and ponies and shit have all been lost on this Great Grimpen Mire. Like it sucks them up like quicksand, and there's a lot of things happening. And so like Watson is like, whoa, what the fuck, Holmes? Why did you like send me here by myself to like try to figure this out? Like there's people out like flashing Morse code and like what's happening there. And then so he like finds this hut and there's like food, and like obviously somebody's been living there and he doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to investigate this and like hunting it down and doing the research. Come to find out, oh yeah, who's been staying there spying on him the whole time? Sherlock goddamn Holmes. Yeah. So all right, yeah, what is really going on? And I don't want to give too much away, because if you haven't read this story, like, you really need to read this story. And I promise you, if you do, you will be hooked on Sherlock Holmes for the rest of your life. I'm not going to tell you what was the real story with this hound and who perceived of it and created it and concocted it and for what reason, because you need to go to your library right now, unless it's not open, and then you need to go tomorrow and check out The Hound of the Baskervilles, and then read everything else. You're gonna love it.